We thank the Lord for this opportunity that He's given us to share the words of grace and truth today. Today I want to talk to you about a study that's entitled Seeking Answers. And I want to pose a question for you to think about. Are you looking for answers? Just want you to think about it for a moment. Are you looking for answers? I know that I am. In fact, as I examine my own life, every day that the Lord has given me to wake up in my entire life, as far back as I can remember, I recall myself looking for answers. It was a part of my routine for surviving, a part of my routine for achievement. Darwinism suggests that living in this life is called survival of the fittest. But even that quest is about looking for answers. I'm reminded of every day I see a deer or a couple of deers that happen to wander through our backyard. And I see the deers eating shrubbery, eating some of the leaves off of the trees in the surrounding our property. And at times I have to shoo them away from trying to grab the leaves on our shrubbery on our property. But most of the time it's around our property. But even the deer are seeking answers. But they'll keep coming back. What that seems to indicate is that they know where they have some assurances where they can find some of those answers. So they continue to repeat that pattern. They come back around a certain time. And they don't stay long, but they graze and then they move on. Because they've recognized that there's a reliable way that they're able to obtain some answers that they need, which was a part of those answers had to be surviving or eating. And they found that place to be a place of peace, a place that's less threatening, and that allows them to be able to graze a little bit. It's their way of surviving. When I look back in my life, every day that I get up, I look for answers. I've been looking for answers. Sometimes you find answers in getting some cereal. Sometimes you find answers in getting a nice breakfast of eggs and bacon and all those dainties, pancakes and things of that nature. But those answers that you're seeking, those are things that you're obtaining, you're looking for. And one of the things that people seek answers to every day that kind of brings this point into clarity is the idea of eating. And that's because people are trying to survive. So one of the aspects of life, some of the answers that we're looking for is answers to what is it that we're going to what? Eat. That's a part of it. That's one of the answers. But when you look at it from this simple perspective, we've been seeking answers every day of our life. Even if it's the selection of what it is that we're going to wear, even if it's where we're going to live, how well we're going to lay our head, we are seeking answers every day in our life. So a part of our routine, I found, a part of my routine for surviving was to seek and obtain answers to problems. That's what I found. Throughout the day, I find myself looking for solutions to solve problems in different areas of my life. I find myself looking at different sources of perplexing, distressful, and at times vexing matters that you may not understand, or you're in need of answers in order to continue surviving, in order for you to continue living, in order for you to continue moving forward in life. That's what I found. And some things can be more vexing, can be more perplexing than others. But you're still seeking answers. I found I've been still seeking answers. Some things, some answers require you to give attention. You have to find that you have to give attention to it almost every day before you get the actual answer. But yet, you know that if you don't give attention to it, that it could get worse. So answers, seeking answers is something that we do as people. So it's not just me. I realize that every being and every creature that God created, that God gave life to, has to wake up with the idea of seeking answers. Every creature. Even the ant. You can see the ant crawling on the ground, or a bug crawling or flying, seeking answers. As a part of surviving this life, seeking answers. But as I reflect back in the garden of what happened in the garden, it wasn't difficult to obtain the answers. In fact, the answers were brought to Adam and Eve. So they didn't really have to go too far to seek the answers. But a part of the curse for their disobedience, for not following the instructions, is for them to have to go out and seek answers. And we still today are experiencing that. But because of the grace from the Lord, the favor from the Lord has provided us with a way for us to obtain the answers if we would acknowledge it, if we would learn to trust it. And whether we understand it or not, what happens is that people will find in their life there will be different sources of perplexing, distressful, and vexing matters that they'll find themselves having to deal with that they might not understand. Matters that they're going to need to get answers to in order to continue surviving, in order to continue living, in order to continue moving forward in life. Everybody, the Lord has let me see, has the same thing. So I'm not unique in this regard. Every being, every creature. The question is whether or not we'll take the Lord up on his offer.
Amen.
It was by the Lord's grace and favor that the Garden of Eden was created to begin with. It was by grace and favor that the Lord provided a place where answers were provided for the people who were inhabiting it.
Amen.
But although the Lord cursed those people for their disobedience, the Lord's grace and favor has provided a way back for those people if they would take him up on his offer. And that offer still stands today. For some who choose to take him up on the offer, will find a way back. We'll find these answers without sorrow. Others,
Amen,
they may find answers, but those answers will be accompanied with sorrow. So the Lord's offers is a means to be more effective at seeking and obtaining good, enduring answers without sorrow. That's what we really want in life. People really want enduring answers without sorrow. People don't want the drama that goes around stuff. People don't want conflict. People don't want to be looking over their shoulders when they get an answer. See, because sometimes people go about getting answers that cause them to have to look over their shoulder to see if somebody's after them. It may be an answer, but it's not an answer that doesn't come with what? Sorrow. So people really seek answers without sorrows. Even criminals, they seek answers, but then they try to find a place that they can live without the sorrow. They try to hide so that nobody can find them and they can live without the sorrow that comes along with doing something that was illegal.
Amen.
Or wrong. This is how you can have someone who may be living in your neighborhood, who may have committed a crime in order to get answers, but then they're trying to find a place where they can go and live without the what? The sorrow that comes along with having to answer for the wrong that they did. Don't believe me? That's why mobsters, people who in the mob and people who are in gangs, when they get stuff, they then try to build an environment where it allows them to have some sense of family. Even people in who deal with drugs, the people who ultimately get all the money, most of the money as it relates to the drugs that are being sold on the street, that money, when it makes its way back to those who are considered to be the ones responsible, they try to create a life for themselves without sorrow. They try to create a life for themselves that has family without sorrow. So I'm just giving you some examples, but I'm trying to help you still see it's with sorrow, especially when you got to have a military group of people, or you got to have people protect you with an army of guns in order for you to have that life. That means you have something, and there is some sorrow present, something vexing that's present, something distressful that's present. So there's something irreverent present, something unethical that's present in the way that you've obtained the answers. So I'm just trying to get you to see if someone does something illegal to get an answer, steal something, take something, they're looking over their shoulder because they know that's the sorrow that goes along with it. They know that they've obtained it in the wrong way. And what the Lord is offering us is a way to get answers without that kind of sorrow, if we would take him up on his offer. 2 Bible spelling words for this study. Answer is one of them. Answer is defined by Webster as a solution of a problem. A second definition for answer is to react to something with an action. And we find ourselves reacting to things with our own action or an action every day. Amen. What happens if you wake up and you realize it's cold?
Amen.
What's your reaction?
Room temperature.
Turn on the heat.
Mm-hmm.
For most, it will be to figure out a way to do what? To get warmer. Or if it's too hot, what will be the reaction?
To cool off.
To figure out a way to cool down. Exactly. So reacting to something with an action is another way to answer. A third definition for answer is, and we'll speak about this one today, to make oneself responsible or accountable. So when you think about the word answer, think about a reply. Even when we are trying to get something to eat, are we not replying? Are we not trying to respond to something that we anticipate? For example, when someone is trying to get something to eat, and I'm just trying to keep this real simple, before the desire for eating gets too intense, don't a person begin to reply to that circumstance or that condition? When your body begins to let you know that it needs something,
amen,
it lets you know a little bit at a time. But then as time goes by, if you don't reply, if you don't answer, what does your body do?
Send out a warning signal.
It starts sending warning signals, start making noise. It starts responding in a more acute way.
Amen.
And does it typically have an impact on the person's behavior?
Yeah.
When someone is hungry and they're getting to the point of being acute, then they're not paying too much attention to you because they're more concerned about what?
Hunger.
They need an answer for what? Food, right?
Right.
That's what the body is needing. I'm just trying to give you examples of what we're doing is replying. We are responding. And that's what surviving really is. We are responding to the conditions that are around us. And how then can we respond to the conditions without sorrow? Sometimes some people want to, if they are hungry, if they think they're hungry, sometimes somebody would try to take the food from somebody else.
Amen.
This happens in school a lot, by the way. Elementary school, middle school, high school, and even in some public places, this happens.
Amen.
When a person gets desperate, they take from somebody else. And although they may get the immediate satisfaction of taking, sorrow comes along with that action that they took, doesn't it? That child who takes something that belonged to another child in elementary school or in middle school or in high school. Because when it's determined that someone has taken something that belonged to somebody else, simply because they were trying to survive, there's a consequence that goes along with it.
Amen.
Have you ever been in a workplace where they had a refrigerator and you can put your cold stuff in the refrigerator or your food and your lunch in the refrigerator and come in there and find out that somebody's eating your lunch?
That's right.
I've been in situations like that, and I've heard people respond to the fact that somebody went in their stuff and ate their stuff. So I never brought my stuff like that because I knew that there was a potential that could happen. Or the risk. But what I'm trying to get you to understand is that it's happening as a result of people seeking answers, trying to survive. A solution of a problem is what an answer is. We seek that every day about different aspects of our lives. Financially, when it comes to health and wellness in our life, we are seeking answers every day. Every day. So the second Bible spelling word is centered around why we are seeking answers, and that is because there is a problem. So our second Bible spelling word is problem. What is a problem? A problem is a source of perplexity, distress, or vexation. I remember growing up, I wasn't a smoker, didn't like smoking, but when I was in environments where people were smoking, it was a source of vexation for me because I didn't like being in the environment. And especially when I got up to be on my own, and this was before many of the laws changed to where they banned smoking in many places, many public places. They used to allow smoking in many public places. And what I could not psychologically get my mind around, you could have a restaurant where people will say this is the smoking section, as if though the smoke was intelligent enough to know to stay in that section. But basically what it was basically people putting in place rules that lacked common sense. The rules that they knew that didn't make sense, but the public allowed it. It was allowed. It was a standard of acceptance. Then people began to realize, you know what, there's something called secondhand smoke. And by the way, being in a place on the other side of the room, taking it in, you're still being victimized by out. So I'm trying to get you to see how vexing a problem can be. It may not start with you, but you can be the recipient of that. So I'm trying to help you see a source of perplexity or distress or vexation is what a problem is. This also happens in many different ways in a person's life. And it happens a lot in schools, in a dysfunctional home, in a dysfunctional workplace. No one wakes up in the morning with the intention of being vexed. No one wakes up in the morning with the intention of being distressed. No one. No one is inviting frustration into their day. Yet, it happens. And when it happens, what we have to recognize, these are problems that we then seek answers to.
Oh, praise be to God, from whom all blessings flow. It is our prayer at Clay Family Ministries that your life has been increased with the increase of God through this study. We appreciate and are thankful for your fellowship during this life skills study segment.